Hey everybody, welcome to Falcon Plays Dead but Alive Southern England. Yes, the Southern England part is part of the title itself, so a little bit of a shout out to the Englishmen watching out there, well, the Englishmen and English women, I should say. This one's apparently for you guys. This is going to be part of Falcon's Spooky October month here on the channel itself. And what's a Spooky October month without zombies, right? So here we go. What Dead but Alive actually entails of is, if you're familiar with the channel, imagine Icy and Safe House Diaries just smashed together, and boom, you have Dead but Alive. Day 6, the dead walk among us. All attempts by the government to contain the virus have failed. All who try to stop these carnivorous monsters we call zombies have been devoured or transformed. There is no escape. We are on our own. It's now 3 days since I woke up in the hospital and returned to my CV, only to find my daughter had been taken to some kind of refugee center that nobody else here seems to know about. Like I wrote earlier, in the meantime, I've teamed up with some strangers for our mutual survival. In desperate need of supplies, we decided to check out rumors of a supply catch in a house in the suburbs of Bournemouth. The house looked empty from outside, but we checked a couple of windows before we went in. All the same, we carried out a thorough sweep of the house, but we were lucky. No zombies were waiting for us, at least that's what we thought at first. We better get a move on, people. I've got a bad feeling about this place. And if you're wondering why there's no English accent, I assure you it's for your benefit. My accents are quite terrible, as we all know from the past. It's day 6 after SHTF, and I would love to live another day. SHTF, as you could probably imagine, is shit hit the fan. That's when the whole zombie apocalypse happened 6 days ago, as we read through the journal itself. We need to get out of here right now. I'm trying. There's so many drawers. It don't matter. Just grab everything and let's move. Those Zeds could break in at any time. Come on, Steve, man up. We're doing all we can. Why don't you help us? We'll be done faster then. Someone has to stand watch. What do you do? So we have a little bit of a choice here. Let's see. Let's just tell him it's his imagination. He's probably tripping out. Steve's kind of a bit of a jerk, so, you know, he's got a little bit of a egocentric problem. Tries to challenge you for the position of role leader over here as well. The hell you know. All right. We'll get your damn supplies. I just hope we don't get killed because of them. 10 minutes later. I think I heard something. Why don't you just stop? They're here! The Zeds are on the ground floor. Oh, Steve was right all along. Whoa, slow down there. The Zeds, they're coming up the stairs. Alright, we need to get out of here then. We could stay silent and try to hide, but obviously I think it's best if we just meet up with the others and book it here as soon as possible. We've got to go. They're in the house. We can't run. They'll be on us in no time. We should hide. Are you crazy? We should run for it while we still have the chance. Let's go ahead and agree with Caroline for this one here. From below the stairs you hear something. Rawr, we got some zombies. Steve hates me. How? Window. Alright, jump out the window then. The other one. The non-boarded one anyway. Look, on the street, more of them. Oh no. They've seen us! Run! They must have heard the noise. We'll have to try to get past them. Here they are coming. We had no choice but to fight. It wasn't a fight, it was carnage. There was no time for reflection, however. We had to dispose of the dead before others arrived. That's it. Let's get back to camp. 1 hour later. On way back to camp. Ugh. Hey, are you okay? It's nothing. I got knocked out a bit, that's all. Let me see that. I said it's nothing. Hey, let go. Oh, she's bit. She's gotta be bit. When people don't want to show you an injury in a zombie apocalypse, you know they're bit. Nothing, is it? Looks like a scratch to me. One of them got you, didn't it? Why didn't you tell us? Well, I'm pretty sure why she didn't tell us. I mean, that would probably mean death or, like, you know, some sort of, like, excommunication from the group itself. Because she knows what would happen. We need to kill her now, before she turns. Oh, good God, Steve. You're kind of right, but Jesus, man. A little bit of sensitivity, please. What are you talking about? She's been bitten by a zombie. She's going to turn into one of them and kill us all. I say we waste her right now. No, I won't allow you to do this. Up to me, huh? Steve's right. We can't take the risk, or I don't want to allow anyone to be murdered. I won't allow anyone to be murdered in cold blood over here. So we might as well just perpetuate the fact that everybody hates us anyway, so let's go ahead and say we cannot allow anybody to be murdered in cold blood. So, you know, maybe she's not going to turn. I mean, maybe it was just a scratch, maybe it wasn't a bite. You're putting us all at risk. It's the only way. Look, I don't think she's infected. It's been an hour since we left the house, and she's fine. What are you talking about? She's right. People bitten by the Zeds turn pretty fast. They get a fever, then they die within a few hours at most. If she was infected, she'd be half dead already. You sure about this? We're sure. Alright. But I'm watching you. Any sign of trouble, and I'll put a bullet in your head before you can blink. You return to camp. He's not joking about that, too. Again, as I mentioned, Steve, kind of a really difficult person to kind of get involved with here. Alrighty. So this right here is going to be your main hub of the game itself. Here's where you actually manage relationships with people. You have to talk to your people, especially your VIP people, which are the non-default characters that just join randomly. And you got to keep your relationship with them high if you want to, perpetuate certain things to actually happen. Obviously, Steve already hates this. We could also go ahead and manage our supplies over here. When you're managing your supplies up here, you actually use up action points, which are indicated by this little arm over here, and then depending on what you do is going to take up a certain amount of resources, action points, etc., etc. You can do these once a day only. However, on the flip side, if you don't want to do any of the camp supplies, scavenging, and whatnot, you could actually go out into the camp itself. Oh, you can't do it right now? Yeah, because it's kind of teaching me about things which I already know of, but I'm going to try to skip most of it in here and give you like a quick rundown. But right now, Steve would like to talk to us, so let's go ahead and talk to him really, really quickly. I think a little puppy's getting a fever. No, I'm not. Steve is laughing. This guy's a jerk, man. That's all he had to say. What a jerk. He's just over there poking. Literally, poking at the bear. If that woman turns into a zombie, I hope she comes after you first, Steve. While we were away, more survivors have asked to join our group. What we found at the house is hardly enough. We'll have to go out again. Let's agree. We have to go out, obviously. I'm glad you agree, and don't worry about Steve. You can't please everyone, and certainly not him. Hey, you thinking about going out again? I've talked to some of the new arrivals. They told me it would be very dangerous to go back to Bournemouth, and trying to enter Southampton would be suicide. The bigger the cities, the more Zeds there are. I suggest we first try our luck in the countryside, or a small village at best. Yes, but probably not again today. It's already getting late, which is the reason why it was barring me from going out. Alrighty, so, let's see. Tutorial, okay, look, I'm gonna just click you so you leave me alone, okay? How about that? I got it, yes. I will talk to the people on YouTube about what you're telling me over here. Obviously, supplies 40, bullets 6, fuel 10, and this will be your wood, just random supplies in general, 5, which you need to build up your defenses. Speaking of your defenses, let's check our defenses over here. Now, if we want to get a fence up and running, which we definitely do, we require 4 times, we basically have to use up 20 action points 4 different times, and we actually have to have 30 wood. 30 wood? 30 wood is what I meant, and of course the wood jokes do come into play again, because no game is complete without Falcon and his wood jokes, apparently. But we would need 30 supplies of wood every single time. So get the fence up and running, you need to actually do this 4 different times before it is completely built. So it's going to take a while before we get this fence up and running, so keep that as a heads up. You can also make some fuel bombs over here, booby traps, and again, this is all indicated depending on the amount of fuel, action points required, supplies, etc., etc. So that's the defenses right there. Supplies we already talked about. Over here, we have a little bit of a diary. This is going to be a little bit of a backstory as to what happened leading up to the actual outbreak itself. So for the premise of this, I think we should read it out. So let's read the first entry over here. Day -2, which is, 2 days before the actual event that caused the whole zombie apocalypse. It's not been easy adapting to civilian life again. I mean, I'd much rather be home with my daughter, working on an insurance company, being ordinary. But there are times where I miss the danger and excitement of the military. Last week, the neighbor's dog started barking in the night, and I was suddenly wide awake, ready for enemy attack, before I remembered where I was. We used to come to Bournemouth and pool every summer. It's hard to believe my fiancé's been dead for 7 years now. I think Emily still blames me for that. If I had been there, perhaps I could have done something. To be honest, I blame myself as well. I've done my best, but it can't be easy for Emily to grow up. I hope the trip out there, like the 3 of us used to do when she was little, might be fun for her. Perhaps she's too old for caravan holidays now. Perhaps I left this family bonding idea too late. She's a teenager now, with her own friends and her own interests. Maybe dragging her out here is just going to drive us apart. My therapist would be pleased anyway. I'm writing all this down rather than bottling it all up. I think it might be working. Things haven't been exactly warm and friendly in this family recently, but at least I haven't shouted at her. Maybe I can suggest a trip out there somewhere tomorrow. Continue reading. Some frightening stuff in the news at the moment. Disease outbreaks and riots in London. The government is urging people to stay away unless they absolutely have to. I've suggested we stay a few days longer in Bournemouth until it all settles down. Emily doesn't seem keen about but she went along with it. I think she's worried about my PTSD flaring up again. Perhaps she's right. All the news reports about people going crazy and biting each other. The experts are saying it's a virus, something like rabies. I'm glad we're well out of it. The internet is talking about zombies, which is ridiculous, but that's pop culture for you. The experts don't want to sound silly, though, so they're just calling the victims Zeds. This is the day of the actual event, too. This virus is apparently a bigger problem than anyone thought. The roads out to Bournemouth have been closed, and there are reports in the local news of cases nearby. Looks like it's not just London anymore. We should be safe enough in our caravan, but food is running low and most of the stores are closed. No supplies are coming in, and no one wants to risk getting infected. I've heard that there's a Red Cross station in the town center giving out food and water. I'm going out there. I've told Emily to stay put. Mrs. Cooper in the next caravan says she was robbed on the way back from town last night, and I don't want to risk something like that happening to my daughter. I was expecting her to argue. Perhaps all this has her more scared than I thought. I just woke up about half an hour ago in a deserted field hospital. I need to get back to my daughter, but my head is still spinning. Write down your thoughts and feelings, as my therapist would say. Get it all straightened out on paper. Well, here goes. I don't know how long I've been here. A day? 3 days? I don't even know how I got here. I remember leaving the caravan. I was heading into town to get supplies. There was a Red Cross station there, alright, handing out packages, but there are so many people. Thousands of frightened, lost, angry people. The station was overwhelmed. They didn't have anywhere near enough packages for everyone. Fighting broke out over the packages. There were soldiers with the Red Cross just in case something like this happened, I guess. But they were little more than boys, just out there training. They didn't know what to do. One of them fired a few shots, but that just made things worse. I could see them in the confusion, but I think someone was hit. I heard a woman screaming about blood, and then the crowd turned into a stampede. I was thrown against the car, and I think I took a blow to the head. I can feel the swelling even now. Then I blacked out, and I woke up here. If anything, it's worse outside than before. This camp is almost deserted. Looks like everyone left in a hurry. I found a few other survivors here, and I'm going to take them with me when I go. I don't think we're safe here, and I think we have a better chance together as we would alone. There are people wandering around outside the camp. I haven't looked too closely, but there's something odd about them. I think they're infected with this rabies virus, the Zeds that everyone's been on about. My daughter is in danger. I need to get back to her as soon as I'm ready to go. There's no signal on my mobile. It looks like the phone networks are down. I'll just have to gather what supplies I can and find my way back to the caravan. I'm coming, Emily. And this is basically where we started off just a while ago. Alrighty, and that is basically the backstory of us and what we're trying to actually achieve over here. So, right now, what's actually available to us is really not much. We do have 5 action points over here, so we might as well use them up. So let's gather some supplies here really quickly if we can. We could go hunting for some food. However, it's going to cost us 4 bullets. We only have 6, so we might actually bypass that. We cannot collect and filter water because it requires way too many action points. I want to hold on to my supplies for that fence more than likely. So I'm thinking what we do is we just cook some food over here. So let's go cooking here really quickly. We will lose 5 AP, which is all we had left over. We lose 2 food in the process, but we actually get 4 food in return. So it does multiply your food use in a little bit of a sense here. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and skip over to the next day. Before we can think about looking for my daughter, we first need to strengthen our position. We need at least a fence around the camp and enough supplies for a couple of days. This is our priority now. Alrighty, day number 7. Caroline would like to talk to us, so let's go ahead and talk to Caroline here. I wonder how my dog is doing. Our food stocks were in pretty good shape when I left, but Corbin always eats enough for a small family of horses. I miss that little bugger. Aren't you worried about your family? Let's not even worry her about her family by asking that. Let's say what kind of dog it was. Make some small talk here. A big black lab. He slobbers on you just about everything, destroyed every piece of furniture in my room, and is probably the best friend I've ever had. He's a bit too smart for his own good at times, but I love him no matter how much trouble he gets into. I love animals too. Caroline really liked that. See, that's exactly what I figured. You just look like an animal lover. You have that air about you. Don't worry, that's a good thing. My father always said you could get a good grasp of a man's character by seeing how he treated animals. I'll have to introduce you to Corbin when I get my family. I'm sure he'll like you. That's really optimistic of you, Caroline, for sure. If we find your family, if we find your dog. Alrighty, so we have 20 action points over here stored up. Action points will be dictated by how many survivors are in your group. So the more people you have, more action points. However, the more people you have, the more people you have to feed. So keep that in mind. I do believe you basically lose half of the amount of food, or half the amount of action points you get every single day in terms of food. So since we have 20 action points over here stored up, let's go out and about. No tutorial, I don't want to listen to you right now, I know what I'm doing. So this is our camp over here. Every single thing that you travel to will take up a certain amount of action points, which you could drive to, but it'll cost you fuel, or you could walk to and not use up fuel in the process here. Luckily for us, there's something really nearby for fuel. Rural area. I passed through this countryside many times, and on our holidays to Bournemouth, we often take a day to visit this idyllic countryside. The land is largely flat plains, arable fields that are crisscrossed with country lanes and sprinkled with the occasional pub and village. There aren't many people around, so I wouldn't expect to find many Zeds roaming through this part on the country. We can expect to find little fuel here with a relatively low risk of attack. So we could walk over here or drive. If we drive, it'll be half the amount of action points, but it's going to cost some noise, which is dictated by this over here. The more noise, the more chance of zombies attacking, and it's going to cost us 2 fuel. I think we just walk over here for this one. We heard rumors of a small farmstead nearby that might have some useful supplies and went to check it out. The cottage we found looked ancient and run down, but it didn't look like it had been disturbed. We decided to take a look around. As we carried out a sweep of the location, we soon discovered we were not alone. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. We had to fight. The air was thick with the stench of dead. At least one of the group threw up. Sometimes I think that I should simply let it go, get yourself bitten, eaten, shot, whatever. But give in to the desire to end it all. Thou should not kill, it says in the Bible. How far church and everything seems to be from our reality now. Someone called out to me and I ducked just in time to avoid certain death. It's not as if I didn't learn to handle my feelings in the military, but sometimes, even when I'm shitting my pants, perhaps this is the end of humanity, perhaps it should be. Okay, anyway, the larder contained, he's writing everything down, I love it. The larder contains food of all sorts, which was spoiled, but a lot of it was still edible. We got 2 food out of this, we also got 1 ammunition, we got 5 fuel, and 8 materials over here too. Excellent, alright, so good supplies right there. We still have 16 points over here to use up. Obviously, yellow is somewhat dangerous. Red is really dangerous. We might want to avoid those early on anyway until we get some better VIPs into our group here. So right now I'm thinking if we could travel over here for some food, this would cost us 12 AP. 6 fuel, which we have 15 of. You know what? Let's go ahead and drive over. There's going to cost us some noise, but it shouldn't be that big of a big deal anyway. We heard rumors of a small farmstead nearby that might have some useful supplies and went to check it out. I've taken a nice photo of the location. Take a look. We heard movement and we had our weapons drawn before the first zombie came into sight. We had no choice but to fight, so we are going to fight. We've grown quite used to fighting in our lives since shit hit the fan. I try not to think that these zombies were ordinary people, ones like us. I don't think I could fight them otherwise. Thou shalt not kill. So for this one we got 12 food, which is actually really great, and 1 bullet as well. Not too bad, not too bad. We did use up a bunch of fuel for that trip though. With 10 action points left over, I think the rest of them we use them up back into camp. So let's go back to camp over here really quickly. We will go ahead into our supplies. And we could go hunting, but it's going to cost us bullets. And we already have 20 noise on us, so we should really worry about that because it's quite high now. I'm thinking what we do instead is, we could collect and filter some water for a fact, but it's going to cost us more fuel as well as some supplies. Maybe instead we go trapping for some food, hopefully. So we lose 5 AP. 4 materials, and we got 2 food only. Oh man, I might as well just have cooked. As a matter of fact, I think we probably will cook with the last 5 left over. Or we could chop down some wood, but it's going to cost us fuel. We do need the supplies though to make our fence though, so let's go ahead and chop some wood down. 5 AP lost. We lost 2 fuel. And how much supplies? We got 6 materials. Not too bad, I'll take it. Let's see here. Does anybody need to talk to? Caroline. Hey, what are you up to? You know, it sucks not knowing what's happening with my family. On second thought, one second I'm rummaging through town trying to find supplies for everyone back on the farm. The next some prick in a military uniform is swiping my keys. Public good? Never did my family any good. They were just doing their job probably, Carolyn. And a fat load of good it did them. Handing out rations and helping old women cross the street? Nah, that twerp is probably laying dead in a ditch somewhere. Or worse. I mean, whatever. I'm sure my family is fine anyway. We live so far to the map Zets would have to pack 2 days worth of human bits for energy just to get to us. But we hadn't seen more than a handful of Zets the entire time we were there. I just want to make sure that they've been getting by alright. Without me and my truck. I imagine supplies have to be getting low by now. You can't go alone. I'll come with you. Good luck finding some sucker to go on your useless search with you. Wow. Let's actually... Steve already hates us. Let's make sure that Caroline is on our good side here anyway. Caroline and you are close friends. Aha, that's what I'm talking about. Caroline is laughing. Whoa, slow down there, mate. I appreciate the offer, don't get me wrong. But we just can't go off running off cross-country right now. The farm isn't exactly walking distance, so we can't head there straight away. It won't do them any good if we go and get them and we get back and everyone is dead. Stay silent. See? I'm one of those thinking types. Not all farm girls are as dumb as you think we are. After we get this place up and looking pretty, then maybe we can head out and round up my family. Hell, if they're dead already, going out and looking for them now wouldn't help. I'm sure they're fine though. My father had them what most cops would probably call a disturbing amount of ammo. We need not to worry about them just yet. I'll let you know when I'm feel like this is safe enough to go and get them. I'd even let you come with me if you'd want. Oh, I want Carolyn. Oh, I do want. Let's see, we can talk to Renate as well. Renate. It's a weird name. This isn't exactly how I thought I would be spending my retirement. All this running around, fighting for our lives. I'm pretty sure this is exactly the sort of thing my doctor suggested I stay away from. She was strictly against me participating in any apocalyptic scenarios. Ah, she's got a bit of a sense of humor. I like her already. Retired? You don't look old enough to be retired. Maybe it's a compliment. Oh dear, I worry about your vision. She's laughing. Pointless flattery is always nice, but at least try and make it believable. You know. You kinda got that little comfy grandma type of look to you, Renate. I was a teacher back in the day. I taught in France for a while before coming up here. Excuse me, you kinda clicked through a little bit fast there. What did you teach? Mathematics. Back in France, I taught at what I was referred to as college level, but there really isn't the same sort of equivalent here. Sort of early secondary education. I think it's the closest way I can think of describing it. And then I ended up teaching the same sort of students here. I did love teaching though. The students were the best part. I perhaps stayed a bit longer than I should have, but being around them always helped, especially after. Oh, look at me. For I'm liable to talk your ear off if I get a chance. Okay, so I think after. She stopped at after, probably, I'm gonna imagine, her husband, dead husband or whatever. So, you know, the comfortability of other people around made her feel good. That's understandable. Let's see what asshole Steve has to tell us over here. Probably gonna give us a finger or something. You again! Well, you aren't totally useless out there. More than I can say for most of this rubbish. Did you ever serve some time with the British Armed Forces? Army, Royal Air Force, something like that? Yeah, sure, I'll explain my military background. I could tell you were something or other when you didn't piss yourself out there. Steve is laughing. Oh, he's laughing for once. Actually, he's laughing. He only laughs when he's actually trying to be condescending, and I remember that. Are you being condescending to me, Steve? I was part of the British military myself. They taught me the proper way to handle a gun and knives and explosives. You name it, I can kill it with it. Comes in handy at times like this. There were a bunch of fascists, though. Steve spits. Oversensitive babies. A man can't say anything these days, you know? Yeah, it can get kind of bad, I guess. Kind of, he laughs. That sort of PC bullshit was ruining this country before it went and got ruined by itself. No one can even take a joke anymore. Whatever, stay sharp out there. I don't need more dead weight to carry around. Alrighty. Well, that's Steve right there. He's a bit of a racist. Let's see here. He is openly hostile towards me. That's what because he hates us now. But if you read the details, it will talk about him being, you know, racist. He hates certain races that we will probably run into more than likely. Alright, I think we probably wrap it up here for today, guys. What do you think? Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up, leave a like. The support does mean a lot. We will come back in the next episode and continue our journey of survival and hopefully getting to our daughter at some point and seeing what else we actually cross over with here. I will catch you next time.